I want this to feel like we're having a conversation and I'm supporting you when it comes to your content. So if you are consistently creating and obviously posting content, because you can create it and never post it, am I right? There's probably a lot that is in your notes section, that's on your camera roll, but have we posted it? So that's just for a good laugh because we've all been there. But if you are consistently creating and posting content for your company, for your business, for what you are doing, and it is not converting to cash at the pace that you desire, this video is uniquely for you. If you aren't already creating content consistently and you're like, okay, I definitely need to create it consistently, I would still watch this video because it can help you speed up and probably even motivate you to go ahead and become consistent with creating content, because those are the two big buckets that I see people really have a huge hang up on. It is getting consistent with creating content. And then once they are consistent, a lot of times I see that they're like, well, now I'm consistent, so I should just obviously like make multi-millions of dollars because I am consistent. So there is no like, well, just because you're consistent means that you should be making millions or billions of dollars. So there always does get to be strategy involved when you are consistent. So let's break a lot of this down, because there's a lot of layers to this and there's no one size fits all. So I'm going to do my very, very best to support you, but I want to, like, if you want to have a conversation about this, specifically about you, pop into my DMs so we can get the ball rolling. But I'm going to do my very, very best based on the thousands of hours I've spent with people privately, individually and in small group, to cover as much as I can, as quickly as I can. So first and foremost, we get to define what consistent means, because Gary Vee has a whole level of being consistent versus someone else, right? Like a busy mom, for example. Like, to say that I should be as consistent as Gary Vee, that has a team, that, you know, has way more time than I do, is not fair to a busy mom. So we want to first understand, what does it mean for you to post consistently? Because that also is not a one size fits all. You can post a few times a week and make really good money. So we get to get out of the mindset of, well, just because I post more means I will make more. It could. So I'm not going to pretend that it wouldn't, because algorithms, exposure, building trust, like that is layered into you creating more consistent, juicy, bingeable content, right? With obviously calls to actions built into there. So I want you to like just check in with yourself of like, maybe you are being consistent with creating content, but since your standards for yourself are like so unattainable, unreachable, maybe you're putting yourself in the wrong category and you actually are being consistent with creating content. So decide what that is for you, right? Like, bare minimum, what is it for you? Then from there, everything else is icing on the cake. So that might help put you in the category of like, oh no, I am being consistent. And it takes you out of the category and the vicious loop that I hear so often of like, well, if I could just get more consistent. And I say all of this with love, and we've all been there. But what we say expands. So if we continue to stay in the loop of like, well, I just need to be more consistent, it doesn't feel very empowering. So content, it gets to feel good. It gets to feel fun. It gets to feel empowering. And that's not always easy when you don't feel creative. It's not always easy when you don't have a lot of time, or if you don't have team, or if creating content doesn't come easy to you. Like maybe you struggle with like what to say, or you struggle with video content. And so like that's my next tip for you of like double down on what actually feels good to you. If all you did was Facebook background posts, and they feel good to you and they're easy for you, double down on those. If you love creating reels, double down on reels. If you love Facebook Live or Instagram Live or whatever it may be, double down on that. So we get to play on your strengths. We get to play on your energy, because like surprisingly, when you enjoy something, you're going to do it more. It's going to feel better. You're going to be able to do it even on the days that you're like, oh, I don't really want to, or it's busy. It'll feel so much easier to do it because you actually like it and you're good at it, right? Or you've at least done it enough that you're like, it doesn't feel like pulling teeth. It doesn't feel like climbing the tallest mountain. So video content can be fun. It can be simple. It doesn't even have to be like video content, for example. It can be Facebook backgrounds. It can be hanging out in a group. It can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going in another room here for a second. So you get to first get clear. Like I said, you get to get clear on, what does it mean for you to be consistent? Then you get to get clear on what type of content do you enjoy that you can double down on. From there, double down on a platform. When you're trying to spread yourself so thin and you're like, I need to be on Instagram, I need to be on TikTok, I need to be on Pinterest, I need to be on Facebook, I need to be on Threads, right? It is so hard to keep up with. Like, even if you're not ADHD, I think for everyone, it's unless you have a huge team, it is so challenging to keep up and do all of those things so well. It's like having 5 babies at once versus having 1 baby, right? Both still take time and nurturing and loving and energy and all of those things. But like, I think we can all argue if you have 5 babies that you have to take care of, that's a lot more than if you have 1 baby that you have to take care of. So especially if you have no help or very little help. So we want to do this very, very well. Creating content is only the beginning. And based on the thousands of hours that I have spent with people, this is where I think there's a big gap for people. They think, well, I did the live video, I did the reel, so now I'm done. Now I can check out. That is just the beginning. Unless you are running ads and you're running a lot of ads and the ads are performing well for you and they're converting, then obviously that's a whole different strategy, which is more paid marketing, and it does very well. But it's a whole different journey versus what I'm talking about. And I think you can have a hybrid. I think you should have a hybrid because life happens. If your ads can be running for you and that you're creating organic content, it can be huge. But for 17 years in all different industries, I have been heavily, like over 90% all organic marketing. And that's really what I'm focusing on in this video with you. So ads are important. I've done ads, I've ran ads, not just for me, but for other people. But I feel more comfortable with organic marketing. There's some people that are the complete opposite. So there's lots of strategies that work, but it's finding what works for you. So could ads take more of a lead long term for me? For sure. But for now, I just continue to lead with like, what do I know to do? What feels good? And then we can slowly add in other strategies in the background type of thing. But when we can have the majority of the time, the energy, and the resources going to what we already know works, it can really speed up the process. So going back to where I think there's a big gap for people. So once you're super consistent with content and we're getting better and better and better, that's still only the beginning. My favorite thing to say to students and myself is content and conversations. Content and conversations. This is when organic marketing literally feels like it's exploding. We go on social media to be social. So can you do a reel for your business and it take off, or it to like help you make a ton of money, or a social media post? For sure. But what I have found is when you can get super consistent at creating conversations with people publicly and privately along with your content, you can speed up the process so much, and it can feel so good. And you don't have to do it any icky way. It does not have to be cold messaging at all. I highly actually recommend it not to be cold messaging. But we start to create content very strategically that creates conversation. It creates people saying, more information, please. Yes, I'm in. Yes, I want that freebie, right? Like, yes, I want to know more. Yes, I want to share my feedback or my ideas. It doesn't always have to be people raising their hands for business specific things. But when I study other people's marketing, and it's solely about them, their life, right? Like interesting facts about them, or like what they ate for the day. I don't think that that is a bad thing. I think it's actually a wonderful thing because it shows that you're truly a human. However, people need to know how they can work with you, how they can buy from you, what they can even buy. Are there any like incentives, urgency, right? That feel good to you? You don't have to run sales, but could there be bonuses, right? Could there be additional opportunities? Could there be bundles, right? Like you can do this exactly how you want to do this. I teach frameworks. I teach energetics. I teach strategies. Almost think of me as like your stylist, where I'm putting out all of these outfits for you. Like they're all really amazing outfits that are going to look really good on you, but you like make the final call. And you may like mix and match things and be like, ooh, let's grab that shirt with those pants. But you know, like no matter what, you're going to look so good. Like that's my approach to this, because that's what I know works, because everything is changing constantly. But if we know that everything in your closet of clothes, in this analogy, is everything that you love, and we know that it works, then you're going to be successful no matter what. And you're going to be even more successful because it's all clothes that you actually want to wear. And so most, if not all strategies, they work. Like they work. But here's the thing, when we're constantly chasing like the secret sauce or the silver bullet, or we're just so convinced that there's somebody that has exactly what we're missing, and then we go do that thing and it doesn't immediately work, and then we go like jump to another thing. Like we're all human. It happens. Like that is why the diet industry is what it is. Like people will constantly, not everyone, but people will chase the next diet because they're convinced that that's the diet that's going to help them like create a six-pack. So when we can study human behavior, which is what I'm fascinated about, and actually just like lean into like our natural tendencies, it can be super helpful, because then we don't have to like swim upstream and like fight against who we are. So that's why us tapping into like who you actually are is so beneficial. If you actually just love Facebook, then double down on Facebook. There's so many powerful strategies within Facebook that really do work, that are working for so many people. There's people that don't want to be on Facebook and they want to be on Instagram. Double down there. So this is why you understanding who you are is the most important strategy, because you may tell me, I don't want to get on video, Nellie, and that's okay. That is okay. You do not have to get on video. Is that a strategy that I have doubled down on? For sure. But could there be other strategies that you implement that work so well for you? Yes. But if we don't have your voice at the center of your business, and we're constantly chasing what everyone else is doing, it's not going to fully work. And it's just not going to feel great. So one of the best things that you can do is get so clear after you're consistent with like, am I marketing my business where I want, when I want, how I want? Am I selling the way that I want? Am I serving in the way that I want, right? Like when we can just do a quick, like energetic alignment check-in and see if there are any pieces or parts missing. You may be like, I've been wanting to do reels for so long, right? Lean into that, right? Follow that energy. So we want to make sure that we have your voice. Okay, so let's go back to the content and the conversations. So then we get to get really clear on, once you're like, okay, Nellie, I want to do videos or post or hang out in Facebook groups. We do need a strategy. I'm all about the woo. I'm all about the energetics, but I'm equally about like, we need a strategy. We can't just post about our life and expect people to buy. Like, there needs to be very clear calls to action, and they can feel very, very good. But the more calls to actions, which is a very fancy term for sharing and inviting people, giving them the opportunity to work with you. I can guarantee you, if you wanted, let's say like 5 one-on-one clients, just as an example, people may not know that they can work with you, or they may not know how. When I was solely one-on-one clients back in the day, I would offer 15-minute coaching calls for free. I would fill those up so much. So I would create social media posts of, hey, I've got this many spots. Who wants to hop on a quick coaching call, get some support? This is not a sales call. It is truly a coaching call. And I stuck with that. And what was so interesting to me is that people could actually feel what I do on those calls. It was the best strategy and it felt good. So then a percentage of those people on their own were begging me for like, can I have more of this? How can I have more of this? Can you please send me details? And so on those calls, I would always say, I'm happy to send details, but let's focus on this call, right? Like I'm here to serve. And so that, like, I would always just go back to that. And so then I would follow up with them, send them the details, and wouldn't you know it, I filled up my spots. I did that over and over and over again. And it was easy and simple and fun and felt good. And it was such a win-win. Now, I could have been posting on social, begging and pleading and like, please sign up, please, 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 or not posting at all about my business or my offerings and hoping and praying that people would eventually sign up. So this is why an effective strategy that's aligned with who you are is so important. I know the more I give, the more I truly do receive. That's not the goal, but like it feels good. So it doesn't surprise me because I lean into it so much more. And so when I can lean into it so much more, I am going to get better, faster, feel good results. So this is why knowing who you are is so important. A bro marketer, God love them, may have done a different strategy. A bro marketer would have been like, I'm not spending 15 minutes on a call with people just to like give value. I'm making this up, obviously. I love everyone, but it's just like a fun thing. But anyways, so they would probably pick a different strategy that felt good to them. And guess what? It would probably still work for the people that they wanted to work with. It would probably still work. And this is why I want you to remind yourself that like you can do this. Like you can do this. It takes some like focus and determination, but once you are consistent with creating content, we get to get more clear about those pieces of content, the modalities of the content, and then how is that moving forward in your sales funnel, right? Just staying in the friend zone on social media and building a huge social media following is not how you build a huge business. Can more exposure help? For sure, but it's not the end all be all. I've had a relatively smaller audience than most of the big names online, but been able to do some huge, remarkable things. And so like that's why when we can focus on content and conversations, it can outbeat really any algorithm, any trendy strategy that's going to like come and go, because it makes it about the people. It makes it about serving and supporting and not being ashamed of talking about your offers. Like I do it all. I'll talk about opportunities to serve. I'll talk about opportunities to buy from me. I'll talk about my life. So it's like getting a good variety, a good ratio, and making sure that like it feels good and that it is working. That is absolutely, it's so, so important. You like, if you are consistently showing up, you should consistently see the needle moving forward. Even if it's at a snail's pace, that's better than zero. Like, I don't believe a business owner should be like at zero speed, meaning like you're not seeing the needle move at all. Like, that's not okay. Like, even if it's one person at a time, one day at a time, like we should at least see that. In the world of how many people are on social media, you should see at least like one person at a time, one sale at a time, one day at a time type of measurement. If it's not, there's something clogged. I literally grabbed a plunger on my training yesterday. You don't get the same opportunity, unfortunately. I guess no, that's not a plunger. I thought that was a plunger. But there's a clog, and plumber Nellie is here to help. She's here to help. But expect from yourself that you're not okay with that, right? Like if you had a clog in your toilet, you wouldn't leave it there. I'm gonna hope. So like if you're not seeing that type of like measurement per day or per week, there's some sort of clog. And we get to get really honest with ourselves. And it may be like, okay, I'm not posting consistently. Okay, let's start with that. Okay, I am posting consistently, but let me get more strategic. Okay, let's lean into that. Or I am super strategic and it's still not moving the needle forward. Okay, let's lean into that. So it's like getting so clear on where is the clog so we can actually fix it. And that is now your new focus. And it like, again, going back to the toilet analogy, it's not like, well, time will just tell. No. Expect better of yourself and your business. Like, marketing does take time, but we should still be seeing some movement. And if we are not seeing movement at all, like, I'm not talking about you getting 1,000 people on your email list or making $1 million tomorrow. That's where I think that there's like unrealistic expectations. But one person, one sale a week, at least, that's like bare minimum. Like, you should be seeing that. And if we're not, there's some sort of clog. Don't walk away from it. It's going to get too stinky. Like, get that sucker unclogged. And that way you can continue to run it smoothly, because time will not fix a clog. Time should only help things compound. Meaning, like, there was a person that became a client of mine, and she watched me for a whole year, and I had no idea who she was until like a month ago. And so, like, time did help. Being consistent did help with that specific scenario. But there's been other people that have joined different things that I'm doing within that year. So this isn't like well, I'm just going to sit here and wait. It's like, no, unclog it, continue to stay consistent, continue to get better, continue to become more strategic, continue to have more fun, right? Continue to double down. But like, you should not wait weeks or months or years to see any traction, any movement. Like, the train should be moving. And we want the train to be moving. So that is where, if marketing doesn't come easy to you, let's have a conversation. Let's talk. I do audits. We create content banks. I have calls. I have Telegram access. I have literally trainings upon trainings upon trainings. We have so much at our fingertips, so many resources, all very, very affordable to be able to support you. So sometimes I have to call my husband to fix the clogged toilet because I tried and I didn't get it. And I have no shame in that. It's like, hey, can you help me? I tried to get the toilet unclogged and it's not happening. And I have no shame. Like, don't be afraid to call a friend, call a plumber, whatever you need to do when it comes to your marketing. Because every person is different. And that's why I do love audits, because like, even as we do content banks, and I've done like audits for our students and everything, I can see so quickly where there's just some like minor tweaking, and then people start to do those tweaks and things start to get unclogged. Like, it's so powerful, and having a fresh pair of eyes supporting you can be such a way to help things moving way quicker and feel better. We are motivated by progress, by momentum. So that's why I really want you to refuse to just sit and wait. Like, yes, we get to understand that things do take time, but it shouldn't be at a standstill. If you are putting in the time and the effort, you should be seeing the needle moving and progressing, and then getting more clear on how you can speed it up. So I would love to help you. Slide into my DMs. You can even like say, Plumber Nelly, help a sister out. But just slide into my DMs. Let's have a conversation. I can then even obviously like peek at your content, ask you some follow-up questions, really see what you need, and be able to give you some suggestions of how I can support you. And now's a perfect time. Just saying. Last half of the year, would love to support you and be able to move forward and enjoy the process. You get to enjoy creating content. The more fun I have, especially in my content, the more money I make and the more consistent I am. You do not have to have a huge social media following to make a ton of money. You do not have to have a ton of time to make a ton of money. You do not have to be perfect to make a ton of money. You don't have to know every like trendy thing that's happening on social media to make a ton of money. Content, conversations, consistency does so much. So much. Clarity, all of it. Like, I could go on and on and on. This is the world that I'm obsessed with. I would love to be obsessed with you and support you and fast track your journey. So just slide into my DMs. Let's have a conversation.